Welcome to the Cultivating Health Equity Stories podcast. In this captivating series, we delve into the heart of health equity, sharing stories that illuminate the path toward a fairer, more inclusive healthcare landscape. Our mission is to amplify voices, challenge norms, and inspire change. Here is your host, Dr. Troy Campbell, a research scientist on health equity issues.
Today we have a truly inspiring guest, Peter Campbell, who has faced incredible challenges with unwavering strength and resilience. Peter was born in the Bahamas and raised in Jamaica and the Cayman Islands. Truly tropical guy. But then he moved to the United States in 1975, 1976 at the age of 5. He has lived in Salisbury, Maryland, northern New Jersey, and other places. Peter's journey took a significant turn in September 2022 when he was diagnosed with stage 4 colon cancer that had metastasized to his liver and lungs. And despite this daunting diagnosis, Peter underwent chemotherapy from March 2023 until July 2024 and made a profound lifestyle change by embracing life and nourishing his body with food and promotes health and vitality. Peter's story is not just about his battle with cancer, but also about his rich life experiences, including growing up as the son of a prominent pastor. We'll talk more about that later on as he shares his story. Peter, having you on the Health Equity Stories podcast is good, and we look forward to hearing your story. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well. As I tell people, I'm alive. So,
Yeah,
that's always a positive. And, the fact of the matter is, I take each day at a time. There may be a pain here, a pain there, but nothing that's, creating a problem for me. So
Well,
just keep pressing.
I couldn't tell by the way you're looking this morning. And we give thanks, as you say, you're alive. And we're going to talk more about your health experiences, right? Peter, we believe that one's background and heritage shape their health beliefs and practices. So tell us a little about your upbringing. Born in the tropics, then you moved to North America.
Yeah, I mean, my father being a pastor, he was pulled to different places based on the needs. But born in the Bahamas, my parents weren't living; they were actually living in Jamaica. But my mother's doctor said, "Come home," so she did. It worked out well, so they did it for my brother and sister. We were in Jamaica until the end of '74, and then we moved to Cayman, where my father was, I believe, youth director as well as pastor of one of the local churches. And, listen, growing up, particularly in the 70s in the tropics, was just a wonderful experience. The first place we lived in Cayman was on the beach, like walk out the back door and steps away from the door was the beach. Fortunately, our next door neighbors, they snorkeled early in the morning. So our parents allowed them to look after us. Like we could actually just get up and go outside and go into the water and play as kids. My brother and our sister, she was a baby at the time. But positive experiences, made good friends there, and then next thing we know, boom, we're packing up again, heading up to North America. My father had gotten asked to go up to the seminary at Andrews University in Michigan. And that's kind of like the pathway for getting into the conferences in the States. And so we went there. It was a 1 year. He did his master's in, he did an MDiv. And that was a culture shock. It was a physical shock because we went from tropics to freezing cold.
Yeah.
So that was different for sure. But, at this time, I mean, I'm still pretty young. So it's like as kids, we're resilient.
Yeah.
So it didn't really bother me there. And then we moved from there. My father's first assignment was Salisbury, Maryland, which is on the east coast of Maryland. So most people think
Right.
of Maryland, they think of the DMV area, but we were on the eastern seaboard, which is about an hour and a half from the DC area of Maryland, where
Mm.
that's where most people live. And it was great because one, there was a large Black community there, a lot of kids our age, and definitely, that was kind of like where we started to really put down some serious roots with
Mm.
friendships,
Mm-hmm.
still in contact with those folks to this day.
Right.
Um, and then my father went from there to, I shouldn't, oh, let me be clear, just in case somebody sees this. My father had three churches. He had
Oh,
Salisbury, and then he had Millsboro, Delaware,
yeah.
which Millsboro was probably about 30 minutes away, just across the state line. And again, a lot of great folks there. I don't want to
Yeah.
leave them out. Good, wholesome folks. And I think, coming into a setting where we're coming out of a Black experience from the Caribbean,
Mm-hmm.
um, definitely a much more mixed
Right.
and white experience in the Andrews area. And then from
Yeah.
there, my father got a call to New Jersey. And then New Jersey was just a completely different experience.
Mm.
Definitely more inner city, but my father's family lived there. So that created kind of had a
Community.
buffer. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. My grandparents were there, um, my father's parents. And you had the Jamaican culture, which was just major. My mother's from the
Right.
Bahamas, and Bahamas is
No.
so.
Yeah. Thank you for giving us that quick view across. I'll say to you that I have strong Jamaican heritage myself. Used to consider myself being aquatic. I love the water, and
Mm-hmm.
I understand what your experience was with moving from the beach to the snow hill.
Mm.
That's a huge transition. But Peter, I get from what you're saying with your dad being a minister of the faith that religion has strongly or at least influenced your upbringing, right?
Well, definitely. I mean, when your father's a pastor, it impacts you.
Hmm.
Um, I can't say that I, had a real clue until I was older. I, like a lot of folks, got baptized early when I was like about 8 years old, but I can't say that, I understood it all. My true relationship with God came much later in life, where I really understood it. I had moments throughout in high school and in college, but definitely after college is
Mm.
where I started to connect with God on a higher level. Having a father whose office door was always open, I could always ask questions throughout the year. And unlike a lot of pastors' kids that were traumatized because their father was a pastor, and I don't know what the difference was for them, but we just didn't have negative experiences. We didn't have the
Mm.
folks who were like, well, you're the pastor's son, so you should, do this, that, and the other. That just wasn't the
Right.
relationship. Folks treated us well. And I think it speaks a lot to how my parents treated the members. I think, like I said, and my mother is like the consummate friend. You just don't know anybody like my mother. She knows how to build friendships.
Right.
And
Right.
so all of
Right.
those things, I think, definitely helped to strengthen my relationship. And again, as I've become an adult, I've come to know God differently, come
Right.
to
Right.
know his voice
Eh,
when I hear it.
right. And so, we're here to talk about your health experience, and as I said earlier at the top, that we believe that your background shapes how you navigate an illness, right? And so, Peter, thanks for sharing. Your background is quite rich, from tropics to North America, from predominantly Afro-Caribbean setting to a more diverse settings, and clearly your faith is significant to you as a person. We are here to talk about your cancer diagnosis, and I think, so can you walk us through your initial reaction and feelings when you were diagnosed with stage 4 colon cancer, you said, right? In
Yeah.
September 2022.
Yeah, well, I wasn't feeling well for a while. Like my stomach was bothering me. And I actually had gone to Jamaica to a wedding. No problems eating there. My stomach was still giving me a fit, but I thought maybe it was IBS, irritable bowel syndrome. And so I was taking medicine for that, whatever. I would say like a few days later, I went to dinner with some family friends, and I just didn't feel like eating. That's when I was like, man, something is up here. This was July. August, I knew I drove a truck. I was on the road. I knew I was coming off the road in August because we were about to transition from Miami. Yeah. And what happened?
You weren't feeling well.
Yeah, I wasn't feeling well. I went to the doctor. Doctor looked at some numbers and was like, that doesn't sound too positive. And, took some tests. When those tests came back, he saw a number that looked really odd for my liver. And he was like, this number shouldn't be this high for a person that's not an alcoholic. And he's like, I'm sitting here looking at you, and you don't have jaundice. You don't look like a drunk, because only drunks have a number that's that high. And so he scheduled a couple other tests. I went and did a ultrasound, but I actually woke up. I did an ultrasound on a Friday towards the end of September. I woke up the Sunday night. Oh, this is when that big storm came through Florida. And this same week we're about to move. And my wife flew home. She was working out of town. I picked her up from the airport, and I could not get back to sleep. Pain was killing me. So I say to her, look, I'm going to the emergency room. She's like, you want me to take you? I was like, no problem. I'll just Uber over there. Went on down to University of Miami's hospital. And I let them know what all was going on. Hey, I had this high number, told them what that was about. But I came here for this pain. I started telling them, and they just started focusing on the cancer. So when I saw the ER doctor, they were like, well, look, let's do an ultrasound. I said, honestly, with the pain, I can't take all of that pressing. She was like, oh, no problem. We'll do a CT scan, CAT scan. So we did the CAT scan, and I'm there waiting. Probably took about, an hour or so for her to come back. And as she's coming into the room, I felt an honest, almost like a breeze. I don't say it was a breeze, but I felt something just kind of wash over me. And then I heard the words, relax. I was sitting up, and I sat back. And the moment I sat back, I heard, don't worry. The lady starts to talk. Do you have a primary? Because I think it'd be better if you hear it from them. She's soft pedaling. And I said, listen, lady, whatever you have to tell me, it's okay. Just tell me what you see. And then she goes on to state, well, from what we can tell, you have a tumor in your colon, which is metastasized to your liver and a couple places in your lung. It seems as though you have stage 4 colon cancer. Now, I got to tell you, it just didn't hit me like that, because God had just whispered to me, relax, don't worry.
Thanks for listening to Cultivating Health Equity Stories. Remember, our mission is to amplify voices, challenge norms, and inspire change. Go to cultivatehealthequity.com, sign up on our email list, subscribe for future episodes, and find the resources mentioned in the show notes. Until next time.